back to India, and she's slowly stabilizing. So, but we should maybe just do a round of chanting for her quick recovery.
What do you want to do? Do you want to unmute or to mute, or what do you want to do?
I think we can just leave it at that, Prabhuji, and just we can do the chanting. Amaga Prabhu, would that be okay? Or I know you all.
We can unmute and chant, Prabhuji.
Okay.
Okay, we start with Panchatattva mantra. जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम
कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण
कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे।
हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे हरे राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण राम हरे राम
हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे। हरे कृष्ण कृष्ण हरे 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 राम हरे हरे।
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram
Krishna, Hare
Ram
Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram,
Hare
Ram
Krishna
Hare Hare.
Krishna Hare Hare Ram
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna
Hare
Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare Ram,
Krishna
Ram
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram
Ram
Hare Hare.
Ram
Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Ram
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram,
Hare
Ram Ram Hare
Ram
Hare.
Ram
Hare Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Krishna,
Hare
Hare Krishna, Krishna
Ram
Krishna,
Ram
Hare
Ram
Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Krishna
Hare,
Hare Hare
Hare
Ram Ram
Ram,
Ram
Hare Hare.
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Krishna
Hare
Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Krishna
Hare, Hare Hare.
Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare,
Ram
Hare
Hare
Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna,
Krishna
Hare
Hare
Hare,
Hare
Hare
Hare Ram
Ram, Hare
Hare
Hare.
Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram Ram Ram
Hare
Hare
Rama,
Hare
Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna, Guruji. That was wonderful. And we pray to Radha Gokulananda to give good health unto Nagda Prabhu's mother. Sure, with their blessings, we get better for the day. So thank you so much for everyone that take part in this chanting of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. There can't be anything more purifying, more auspicious than chanting the holy name. Please let us know that once you're done, and we can have the mantra. Hare Krishna. Thank you, Prabhuji. Amoga Prabhu, yeah, as and when you're done.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji.
Thank you so much, everyone, for participating in this Mataji. Can I request, if you're done, maybe Sanchit Mataji or Amoga Prabhu, you can want to do the Mangalacharan.
Sanchita Mataji.
Mataji, would you want to do the Mangalacharan?
Yes, Prabhu, I can do it. Yeah.
Thank you.
ॐ अज्ञानतिमिरन्धस्य ज्ञानञ्जनशलाकया चक्षुरुन्मिलितं येन तस्मै श्रीगुरुवे नमः श्रीचैतन्यमनोभीष्टं स्थापितं येन भूतले स्वयं रूप कदा मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकं वन्देऽहं श्रीगुरु श्रीयुतपदकमलं श्रीगुरुन् वैष्णवंश्च श्रीरूपं साग्रजातं सहगण रघुनाथं वितं तं सजीवं साद्वैतं सात्वभूतं परिजनसहित कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सह गण ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधाकान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त कंचन गौरांगी राधे वृंदावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छकल्पतरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदांत स्वामिनीति नामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्तविंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Sanchit ji. That was wonderful, as always. Chandrani, Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Thank you for joining us. We just did the Mangala Charan and with all your permission, do a bit of Kirtan and then we will dive into the our Krishna book reading with everyone's permission.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna. Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari Jaya Gopi Jana Vallabha Girvardhari Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Yamuna Tira Vanachari Yamuna Tira Vanachari Jaya Radha Madhava Jaya Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Hare Rama, Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna. So, thank you everyone once again for joining us. We were going through this beautiful chapter of from the Krishna book, and before we do that, we'll just invoke our prayers to Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So as we always mention, one beautiful sloka from Bhagavad Gita before we start the Krishna book, as Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo veti tattvataha deham punarjanma naiti mamiti so Arjuna. Where Krishna says that one who understands Krishna's beautiful divine leelas of Krishna's appearance, Krishna's divine pastimes, even one understands and listens to the Krishna Katha towards the end of their life, once they leave this material body, they will not come back into this material world, but they will directly go to Krishna Loka. This is the highest benediction that by Shravanam, by listening to Krishna Katha, Krishna is giving his benediction and mentioning and promising in Bhagavad Gita that towards the end of life, we go directly to Krishna Loka. So it is pure, so purifying and so especially to listen in the association of of Krishna's devotees and Sadhu Sangha is so important. And we see in the beautiful examples, even someone like Narada, he was actually a maid servant's son, even by the by just listening at that time to in the association of all the rishis who used to gather, he was given such a benediction that in the next life he happened to become a great devotee like Narada Muni. So like that, we have so many beautiful examples that when we come in the association of devotees and listen to Krishna Katha, this is the highest of Bhakti Yoga, which we call as the topmost yoga, we call it Bhakti Yoga. And so Shravanam is so important, listening um, to Krishna Katha. We were covering this beautiful chapter of chapter 51, the deliverance of Muchikunda. We were talking about how Krishna appears in front of Muchikunda, his devotee, in the form of a four-armed Narayana form. And we seen that Krishna was giving him the benediction to Muchikunda to go and ask for any benediction. And if we can know from Krishna Katha, we can get to know that Krishna's devotees, they are so much on such a highly elevated platform that they are not looking for anything material at all. So even though Krishna says, like you can just ask for any benediction, so you can see in Muchukunda's realization that he was talking about how this material life is temporary, how this, even if you are a king, mighty king, with the passage of time, we lose everyone. And all these opulences, everything will lose over a period of time. And you can see that Muchukunda, actually, throughout his life, he was just going and fighting on behalf of the demigods. And in the meanwhile, all his kingdom, family, everybody died. All these family members, everyone died. And now we can see that Krishna, because Muchukunda was a devotee of Krishna in his previous life, even though he has forgotten, Krishna has never forgotten. Krishna never forgets his devotees. Neha Vikramanasosti Pratyavayona Vidyate Swalpam Abhyasya Dharmasya Trayate Mahatoba. That even if you do a small endeavor for Krishna, like chanting together and listening to Krishna Katha, even a small endeavor that we do for Krishna, Krishna says it will protect you from the greatest danger of life and death. So this is what this knowledge we're getting directly from Krishna. So even though Krishna gives the benediction to Muchukunda to choose whatever, to ask for any benediction. So Muchukunda is no more interested in any of asking for any material opulences and all that. He says, I do not wish to enjoy this material world, nor do I wish to take advantage of merging into your spiritual effulgence. So this is the thing, right? Many people, they talk about wanting for mukti, they talk about merging into the bodily effulgence. So here you can see a pure devotee of the Lord. He's not wishing that he should merge into this effulgence. He's not wishing for any material desires. He just wants to take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna. That's his only benediction. This is the reason why the devotees are never worried about how, whether that life comes to an end or where they're going to go at the end of life. The only thing, that prayer that every devotee is asking is that whether it is heaven or hell, we want to just have shelter at your lotus feet. Because even hell or heaven, they're all temporary, right? Unless one goes to the Krishna Loka, up to the level of Brahma Loka, the highest planet in the material world, even over there also they're places of misery. And again, one day, once you enjoy all that, we'll have to come back into the material realm. So, which is what Krishna is mentioning in Bhagavad Gita, that the only way you can come out of this cycle of life, and that is when we reach to Krishna Loka, and then there's no coming back. So you can see that. So Muchikonda here is saying, I do not want anything. I just want to have shelter. And for I know that simply by taking shelter of you, I shall become completely peaceful and undisturbed. See, this is the recipe, and this is the formula for attaining peace. The real peace comes when we take the shelter of Krishna. Real peace comes when we completely surrender ourselves into the hands of Krishna. Bhoktaram yajana tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram suhridam sarva bhutanam gyatamam shanti mrichate. Right? What does it say in Krishna Bhagavad Gita? It is mentioned, Bhoktaram yajana. When you know that Krishna is the supreme enjoyer of all the sacrifices, when we know that Sri Krishna is the supreme deity behind all these planets, he's the supreme deity who's the head of all the demigods, one who understands Suridam Sarva Bhutanam, and one who understands that Krishna is our well-wisher and our dearest friend, Suridam Sarva Bhutanam. And then we'll be able to become peaceful. So this is the actual way of becoming peaceful, that when we surrender ourselves to Krishna and take shelter of Krishna, and which is what? we can learn from Krishna Katha, because this is what Muchukunda is telling. He's telling, like, I don't want anything else. And this is what devotees are all in. And hearing the statement by King Muchukunda, Lord Krishna is very pleased. My dear King, the King, I am very much pleased with your statement. You have been the king of all the lands on this planet. But I'm surprised that to find that your mind is now free from all the material contamination. You're now fit to execute devotional service. I'm most pleased to see that although I offered you the opportunity to ask from me any kind of benediction, you did not take advantage of asking for material benefits. I can understand your mind is now fixed in me and it is not destroyed by any material quality. So this is what Krishna is. So from this paragraph also we can understand that in order to take devotional service, one of the important things is to have that vairagya, or something which is fed up of the material world, sometimes we come across devotees who have gone through hell, who have gone through such a disturbed life, whether it could be a marriage life or it could be any kind of a disturbances. And when they come to Krishna, and I was talking to one of our devotees, like, that this is sometimes God giving us this opportunity, because right now, after facing so much of difficulty, you must have got so fed up that, that this material life is so much of anxiety, so much of, this is the nature of Kali Yuga, that every padam vipadam, that every step there is some kind of a danger. And when you realize that, because sometimes even though we are going through difficulty, people, they just try to find some temporary solution, and again they're looking for something else, and again you're getting more and more entangled in the material world. But one who understands that this material world there is no happiness, and 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 it completely done with the material desires, that is the best mood on which to execute the devotional. So we can see that Krishna is saying that your mind is free from material contamination. You're fit to execute devotional service. As I mentioned, Bhogaishwarya prasaktanam taya pahrita chetasa vyavasayatmika buddhi samadhavana vidiyata. Krishna says that one whose mind is totally contaminated, his consciousness is completely polluted with material desires and material opulences, sense enjoyment. Krishna himself says, for that kind of a person whose consciousness is polluted by all these things, the determination for devotional service will not come. So we had to understand the Krishna's instructions. And so here Krishna is very happy with Muchkonda that he is not asking for anything material, because Krishna is a true friend. Like, unlike many devatas, when you pray to them for whatever material desires, they give you the material desires and all that. But again, those material desires may once again entangle you into further and further material on the material platform, for which you had to come back into this. But what Krishna wants is, he's our ultimate friend. Suhridam Sarvabhutanam, our best well-wisher. So what Krishna is saying is, I do not want you to get entangled in your material desires. Rather than that, I want you to be freed away from these material desires and execute into devotional service. And then, once you're purified by chanting the holy name, you can come back to Krishna Loka. I was just, last week, I was just thinking in my mind, and I was coining this beautiful rhyme which is mentioned, like, do your dharma, clean your karma, chant Hare Krishna Hare Nama, and go back to Sri Krishna Dama. So that's what Krishna's message is. Like, do your whatever. If you're Kshatriya, do your Kshatriya dharma. If you're Brahmin, do your Brahmana dharma. Not by birth, but by your gunas and by what you're practicing. And then, so Krishna wants us to get out of this material world. Purify yourself by chanting the Hare Krishna mantra, and then come back to me directly. And I don't want you to be suffering this. In fact, Krishna says that to somebody who is totally engaged in Krishna Bhakti, he gives them the intelligence by which we can go back to Krishna. So Krishna, what he does is, rather than satisfying your material desires, he gives you the spiritual intelligence which you can understand. You can overcome all these temptations in this material world and completely purify yourself, and you can go back, because Krishna doesn't want you to suffer in this material world. So which is what Krishna is saying, that when one reaches this, and again, so here Krishna, we hear this from Bhagavad Gita, the material qualities, as we all know, these three gunas, the mode of goodness, passion, and ignorance. When one is placed in this mixed material qualities of passion and ignorance, various kind of greedy and lusty desires impel him to find comfort in this material world. So we've seen that, once in one of the chapter, Krishna asks, isn't it? Krishna asks, Arjuna is asking Krishna, sometimes we do not want to do something bad, but still we go on doing this sinful reaction. Krishna, why do we do that? Why do we do indulgent sinful activities Why do we indulge in this bad karma? Even though we know that this is going to harm us, still we'll end up doing wrong things. Why do we do this, Krishna? Then Krishna says it is lust only, Arjuna. When a living entity comes in contact with this lusty, with this mode of guna, of rajo guna and tamo guna, and that is what is causing that person to be. So it is very important for us to elevate ourselves and just kind of analyze ourselves. What I have done, is it in a tamoguna? If I'm having laziness, is it in tamoguna? If I'm criticizing someone, is it rajoguna? If I'm being over endeavoring for something, is it rajoguna? So in this way, these three gunas Krishna explains in Bhagavad Gita so that we can analyze ourselves and make an honest attempt to rise above the three gunas. So, so when situated in the material quality of goodness, one tries to purify himself. So we all know about these three gunas, that when you are in the mode of goodness, you're purifying yourself by performing various penances, austerities, and when one reaches the platform of a real Brahmani, he aspires to merge into the existence of the Lord. But when one desires to only to render service unto the lotus feet of the Lord, he is transcendental to all these three qualities. So for Vaishnavas, for us in the Krishna tradition, which is very important, we always believe in Dvaita philosophy, where we always want to be a servant of the Lord, and we always want to be engaged in serving the Lord. We want to have that kind of reciprocal loving relationship with Krishna. We are not talking about merging into the Brahma effulgence, even though everything is coming from Krishna. We are not talking about Brahma effulgence, but we are saying that no matter whichever world, whether we are this hell or heaven or wherever it is, please always keep us as your servant and always engage in chanting your holy name. Right? That's the real meaning of Hare Krishna Mahamantra. We are praying to Radharan, we are praying to Krishna. Please engage in your devotional service. And that's all we want. And when one reaches the platform of real Brahman, he aspires to him. And so one desires only to render service to the lotus feet. He's transcendental to all these three qualities. So we had to understand, because Krishna very beautifully tells in Bhagavad Gita, what is it, why are we suffering in this material world? What is the cause of the suffering? And then what is the solution for the suffering? In one way, he says, Mama Ivamsa Jiva Loke, Jiva Bhuta Sanatana, Mana Shastra Indriyani Prakriti Sthani Kanchi. In one way, Krishna is giving in one stroke saying that all of you, Jivatmas, you have a much higher identity, that you are part and parcel of me. But at the same time, because you are in this material world, you're all suffering because you're controlled by these three gunas. Arjuna, you are actually my son, you are my children. But because you're fallen into this material world, you are being controlled by this Prakriti or three gunas. And but these three gunas, Prakriti Kriyamanani, Gunai Karmani Sarvashaha, Ahankara Vimudatma Kartaham. These three gunas, they're just making you dance like puppets in the hands. We are just like puppets in the hands. But he's saying, like, how do we transcend these three modes of material nature, and what is the solution that even Krishna is mentioning in Bhagavad Gita to overcome all these three gunas? Krishna says, Mamchiyo vibhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. When Krishna says, when one is engaged in devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, that means whether you're having a bad day or whether you're having a good day, whether nice things are happening in our life or whether we're facing difficulties or any kind of irrespective of whatever our circumstances, one who's constantly chanting the holy name of Krishna, Krishna says he can rise above these three gunas. So we can understand that when we are chanting the holy name and we purify ourselves slowly, we come to the level where we'll be transcending these three gunas, not just only tamoguna, rajoguna, and sattva but we will rise up to the Suddha Sattva guna, the mode of pure goodness. And then that kind of a pure Krishna conscious person is always free from all material qualities. And then you would find that you're finding so much of joy by chanting that you have lose the taste for all material qualities, material things. My dear King Lord Krishna, continue. I offer to give you any kind of benediction just to test how much you have advanced in devotional service. Now I can see that you are on the platform of the pure devotees, for your mind is not disturbed by any greedy or lusty desire for this material world. The yogis who try to elevate themselves by controlling the senses and who meditate upon me by practicing the breathing exercise of pranayama are not so thoroughly freed from material desires. It has been seen in several cases that as soon as there's an allurement, such yogis again come down to the material platform. So it is very important here. So here Krishna is trying to, sometimes Krishna tests his devotees to see like how much of pure devotion that he has, whether how do you weigh? We know the story of Satyabhama and Rukmini, right? Satyabhama tries to weigh Krishna with all the wealth that she has in the world. Still, she was not able to balance. And and then Rukmini just offers one tulsi leaves and keeps on the other side. Immediately, you find that the weight has gone up. And so we can see from that the bhakti life is such a thing that no matter how many material things are there, once you have the taste of the bhakti, then you will be able to give up all the material. But if you have somebody who's just even by practicing Ashtanga yoga, by practicing pranayama, like for the yogis who are trying to elevate themselves by doing these yogic practices, as long as they're not free from the material desires, there's every chance, like Vishwamitra, that they may again fall down into this material because they are tempted by this material desires. So Krishna has found out here from Muchikonda, his devotee, that his devotee is no more interested in this material desires. He's elevated about that. So he's very happy about that. So we can understand from this Krishna Leela, Katha, that Krishna becomes most pleased when he knows that we are not approaching Krishna for a material desire, but we are approaching Krishna for a spiritual desire to always find shelter at his lotus feet. तेषां ज्ञानिने युक्ति युक्ता एक भक्तिर विशिष्यते प्रियो ही ज्ञानिनो चार्tam aham satha mama priya. Krishna says there are four kind of pious people who render devotional service to me, Arjuna. Well, who are those people? People who are looking for wealth, people who are in distress, who needs help, and third people are people who are just inquisitive to find out about the Lord. And the fourth kind of a devotee is pious people are people who are come exactly only for the love of Krishna. They don't have any material desires. They just come to the temple, they chant the holy name with the only objective they want to please Krishna. And Krishna is saying, such kind of all these four kind of a devotees, all of them are pious, right? The person who's in distress, person who is wants wealth, person who wants is inquisitive, and all of them are pious. But Krishna says, out of all these four kind of devotees, one who has come out of love for me, I consider him to be the best, for I am very dear to him, and he is very dear to me. So we can understand that Krishna, more than the yogis who are actually practicing pranayama and doing all the Astanga yoga and all that, above all that is a devotee or a Vaishnava who's finding more joy in actually chanting, looking at Krishna within his heart and constantly chanting. And when he has this taste, Visaya vinivartante naraharasya dehinaha rasavaljam prasoprasya param drisva nivarte, param drisva nivarte, who has completely got a taste for the Hare Krishna chanting, who has got a complete taste for Krishna Bhakti, such kind of a devotee will not be lured or fall down into this material peak because he has experienced a higher taste. And that is something which is very, very important. That is why a pure devotee of the Lord is much more elevated. He's a pure Vaishnava who's always looking at how to please Krishna. He's no more interested in all that. The vivid example verifying this statement is Vishwamitra Muni. Vishwamitra Muni was a great yogi who practiced pranayama, a breathing exercise, but when he was visited by Menaka, a society woman of the heavenly planets, he lost all control and begot in her a daughter named Shakuntala. But the pure devotee Haridas Thakur was never disturbed, even when such allurements were offered by a prostitute. So we can see this is what the example we are talking about. So we have even a great yogi, like a Vishwamitra Muni also. He was a great yogi. But even though, so we can understand that there's every chance that by practicing these yogic practices or Ashtanga yoga or even BK Sayanga yoga, they have different type of yogic practices. All of these things may temporarily help us to control the mind, but over a period of time, there's every chance that we may fall down because of the lures of the material senses. But the pure devotee of Haridas Thakur, who have got a chance, who got the complete taste for Hare Krishna Nama, he has never been disturbed. Even when the prostitute went and offering her services, he said, like, can you wait till I complete my chanting? And he went on, kept on chanting. And as we all know, Haridas Thakur was chanting 300,000 times of Hare Krishna Mahamantra, 175 rounds of chanting he used to do it every day. So that can show us like how much he had a taste for Krishna Nama. My dear Lord Krishna continued, I therefore give you the special benediction that you always think of me, that you will be able to traverse this material world freely without being contaminated by material qualities. This statement by the Lord confirms that a person in true Krishna consciousness, engaged in the transcendental loving service of the Lord, under the directions of the spiritual master is never subjected to the contamination of material qualities, as we were just now talking about. So Krishna is giving him the benediction that to always think about me. So this is such an important thing, isn't it? Because even to think about Krishna, to for our mind to go towards Krishna, even that you need to have Krishna's mercy, right? Because many times when we go to the temple, we think I went to a Krishna temple, but it's not that we went to a Krishna temple. We must have done so much of pious activities in our previous life that Krishna would have appreciated that and giving us a chance and for our mind to turn towards Krishna. So you can see the biggest benediction that Krishna can give us is that you can that give us this opportunity that to always think about Krishna. In fact, in Bhakti Yoga, if you remember in Bhakti Yoga chapter number 12, Bhagavan Sri Krishna is so kind. He gives four options. Mayeva mana adatsva mayi buddhim niveshaya nivasisyasi mayeva ata ujjumna samsaya. Very first thing that he tells Arjuna is, Arjuna, keep your mind always thinking about me. Always keep your mind in this way. Keep your mind completely focused in me and put all your intelligence and mind in. In that way, you will always live in me without a doubt. And see, Krishna is so kind. He knows that all of us are not on the same level of consciousness. So first thing he would say is, always engage your mind thinking about me. And if you're not able to do Arjuna, I have another option. Atachittam samadatum nachaknusi mayi stiram abhyasa yogena tato mami chaptum dhananjaya. Arjuna, if you're not able to fix your mind upon me without deviation, then Arjuna, follow the four regulative principles of Bhakti Yoga. No intoxication, no meat eating, no gambling, no illicit sex. Follow these regulations, Arjuna, and slowly develop a desire to attain me. And if that is not possible, Arjuna, if the second option is not possible, Arjuna, then Arjuna, there is another third option I can give you. Abhyasa pyasa martosi matkarma paramo bhava madartham api karmani kurvan siddhim avapsasi. Arjuna, if you're not able to keep your mind completely focused on me, and if you're not able to follow the regulative principles, Arjuna, third one is Arjuna, in some way or the other, work for me. Work for me in some way or the other. Because you see, sometimes when people come to the devotees, there's some devotees who are regularly coming. And some of the devotees, they just come and they may not be spending all the time, but they try to do something for Krishna. They try to give some donation for Krishna. Or if some devotees are asking for help, they can kind of like go and do something for Krishna, or they can take some rice and some bags and do some charity and give it to others. So in some way, Krishna is saying, in that way, try to work for me in some way or the other. And if that is not prohibited, then again he says like in Ataitad apai asaktosi kartum madyogamashrita sarva karma palachagam tata kuru yatatmava. Arjuna, if you're not able to work in this consciousness of me, if you're not able to work for me, Arjuna, at least try to give up the results of your work, because by being attached to the results of your work, you will entangle yourself in more karmic reactions, Arjuna. So in that way, so Krishna is so kind that he gives you options. The very first option is keep your mind always fixed on me. Mayeva mana adatsva. And if you're not able to do that, follow the regular principle. You're not able to do that, at least work for me. And if that's not possible, at least try to be detached from the fruits of your work. So in this way, Krishna, like a loving father, is always giving benedictions. And so here he's giving his most a dear devotee like Muchukanda this benediction to always think of Krishna. So, like whenever there is a sunshine, there is no question of darkness. Similarly, when we are thinking about Krishna, then there is no question of Maya entering into our life or the material consciousness to be away from that. My dear king, the Lord said, because you are a Kshatriya, you have committed the offense of slaughtering animals, both in hunting and in political engagements. To become purified, you engage yourself in the practice of Bhakti Yoga and always keep your mind absorbed in me. Very soon you'll be freed from all the reactions to such sordid activities. In this statement, it appears that although Kshatriyas are allowed to kill animals in hunting, they are not freed from the resultant contamination of sinful reactions. Therefore, whether one is Kshatriya, Vaishya, or a Brahmin, one is recommended to take sannyasi at the end of life to engage himself completely in the service of the Lord and thus become freed from all the sinful reactions of his past life. So this is another important thing. We can see that Muchukonda was actually coming from the Ikwaku dynasty, that very great dynasty that he belongs to. And because he was a Kshatriya, in those days, Kshatriya means someone who's always, protecting the Brahmanas, protecting the weaker section, someone who's very courageous, engaging in battles. So such kind of a person who has to, physically fighting, they used to, eat even animals also. So here he's saying like, because of the sin of that's committed for slaughtering the animals, Krishna is giving him a way to come out of it by engaging himself in the practice of bhakti yoga. So it is very important for us to understand that so many sinful reactions we have accumulated, so many samskaras, so much of bad karma we have accumulated from so many lifetimes we do not know. Karma is very, very complex to understand. But the very fact that in this life, if I'm suffering something, we know for sure it must have been because of some bad sinful things which I must have done in my previous life. So Krishna is giving that irrespective of whatever must have happened in our previous life, whatever we have done so far, now that we come to Krishna Bhakti, to engage ourselves in Bhakti Yoga. And in that way, Krishna is assuring that we can nullify all the reactions to all such kind of activities. That so it is very clear from this that even though the Brahmanas would not eat, but the Kshatriyas would eat non-vegetarian in those days, Krishna is saying that this is definitely going to be a reaction, sinful reaction for that. But to counteract, Krishna himself is suggesting to do Bhakti Yoga. And Bhakti Yoga starts by chanting the holy name of Krishna. And Krishna gives us the definition of Bhakti Yoga. Yoginamapi sarvesam madgatenantaratmana shraddhavan bhajate yomam same yukta tamamataha. Krishna in Jnana Yoga chapter number 6, after telling about Astanga Yoga and how to go to a remote place and practice yoga, his final conclusion is that Yoginamapi sarvesam, that one who's always thinking of Krishna within his heart and always chanting the holy name Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. In this way, rendering transcendental loving service to Krishna, Krishna himself is saying that is the highest form of yoga, which is called as Bhakti Yoga. So Krishna is saying that irrespective of the four different classes of society, that Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, Vaishyas, and Sudras, all of them have an opportunity that no matter how they have lived their life, towards the end of life, they can take sannyas and completely engage in the service of the Lord. So that will kind of like free them from all the sinful reactions of the past life. The Lord then assured King Muchukunda, in your next life, you will take your birth as a first class Vaishnava, the best of the Brahmanas. And in that life, your only business will be to engage yourself in my transcendental service. A Vaishnava is a first class Brahmana because one who has not acquired the qualification of a bona fide Brahmana cannot come to the platform of Vaishnava. When one becomes a Vaishnava, he is completely engaged in welfare activity for all the living entities. The highest welfare activity for all the living entities is preaching of Krishna consciousness. It is stated herein that those who are specifically favored by the Lord can become absolutely Krishna conscious and be engaged in the work of preaching the Vaishnava philosophy. The beauty about Krishna Katha is that every paragraph is packed with so much of nectar, isn't it? So here Krishna is we can know through this beautiful chapter from what Krishna is saying that there is a chance for everyone, whoever, irrespective of whatever background. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, right? Chapter number 14, what Krishna says, Mam chayo vibhicharena bhakti yogena sevate samityaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. So, so anybody who's engaging in Krishna Bhakti has every chance because Krishna, as it is mentioned in Kali Yuga, everybody is born as a Shudra. But by practicing, by our spiritual practices, by elevating ourselves in Krishna consciousness, we can slowly elevate ourselves to the level of being Vaishnava. It's not like one fine day we become a Vaishnava, but practicing Krishna consciousness continuously and slowly elevating ourselves by preaching, by practicing Krishna consciousness, by chanting, by reading Krishna Katha. In that way, slowly we elevate ourselves. And so here Krishna is giving the benediction, the best benediction that Krishna can offer to his pure devotees is that to take the birth of a first class Vaishnava and who's much more, even more than a Brahmana, because here he's not just about, being born as a Brahmana, but here being as a Vaishnava, he's always working for the welfare of the society. So we can understand from that anyone who's preaching this Krishna consciousness is such a wonderful benediction from Krishna. It is like a benediction from Krishna that we must have done something in the previous life, in this life we got a chance to be able to preach about Krishna consciousness. Janmantra Sahasreshu Tapodana Samadvihi Naranam Shena Punyanam Krishna Bhakti Prajayati. It is mentioned in Vishnu Sahasranamam, where Baladev Vidyabhushan has given us this meaning that one who has done so much of pious activities, one who has done so much of charity in his previous life, only such kind of a person in this life will get a life which is taken to Krishna Bhakti. So the very fact that everybody is practicing Krishna consciousness, it clearly shows through this particular word that Krishna is saying is that in the next life, you will get a chance to become a Vaishnava to practice Krishna consciousness. Someone who's like a first class Brahmana and someone who's living for the preaching of welfare of all the living entities. Because there are many people who think that they can do charity for the society. There's so many people who do spiritual activities, right? But the highest spiritual activity that you can look at is to give Krishna consciousness to someone whom you can bring someone closer to the lotus feet of Krishna. And this benediction, this kind of a role that Krishna doesn't give to anyone. Krishna can give material desires to anyone. When Sudama went, he gave him a mighty palace. So like that, you have even for a florist to give a garland for Krishna, Krishna gave him a benediction. That he'll get a four-arm Narayana form and he'll get opulences all throughout. So Krishna can give everything. But the highest benediction that we can understand from this is that Krishna give you the benediction to be born as a Vaishnava and someone who can engage the work of Vaishnava philosophy. This particular role and this particular benediction, Krishna reserves it for his pure devotees. So it is so encouraging, it is so inspiring, it's so motivating where we are getting to know directly from Krishna Bhagavan that Krishna is giving us this highest opportunity to all of us to practice Krishna consciousness and spread Krishna consciousness in any way. A person who's doing kirtan, he's also indirectly, he is spreading Krishna consciousness by kind of like giving this nectar, this beautiful bhajan of Krishna bhajans, and slowly in that way purifying all the people who are listening to this Hare Krishna chanting or Hare Krishna bhajan. So like everybody can contribute in some way for the pleasure of Krishna Bhagwan, and this is what pleases Krishna the most. After all, Hare Krishna the entire philosophy of Krishna consciousness is doing everything for the pleasure of Krishna. So I just want to stop here in the interest of time. I know we just went a bit, went above 9 o'clock, but I thought since we spent about 3 sessions on this, I thought maybe we should complete this chapter. So we just completed the 51st chapter of the deliverance of Nichikanda. So I just want to stop over here, and next one we are going to be starting a very, very interesting one, which is called the Krishna the Ranachora. And a lot of people know that there are many, even a temple, I think Radha Ranachora or temple as well in India. And I was listening to one of the devotee who came from India, and he was telling me about the divine pastimes of Krishna in some of those places in Gujarat, Dakorji they call. And yeah, so it is beautiful. So we'll be covering another new chapter next week. But yeah, for now, I just want to stop here with your permission, and apologies for going a little bit over the time. And I will just ask for any of your comments, corrections.
I think you continue.
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji, Vrindavan, Prabhuji.
I think you continue, carry on.
Prabhuji, maybe for today, maybe we will have your bhajan.
Whatever time you want. Today you have time and continue, no problem.
So we will start with the next chapter next week, Prabhuji. That is okay. Yeah.
Not
I'm
today.
just thinking. I'm actually thinking about I know I'm so excited because I think Ranachora, I've been hearing about it, that Krishna ran away from battlefield. And one of the most important, beautiful thing, right? Two things came to mind when I was just reading about that. Krishna already defeated Jarasandha 17 times. Why would he run away from a battlefield when he has already defeated him so many times? But because there was a higher engagement and he had to go to attend because the call from Rukmini. And the second thing is, like, we see the whole Bhagavad Gita when Arjuna himself was telling Krishna that Krishna, I cannot fight. And I just want to run away from the battlefield. And Krishna says, no, you're not running away from the battlefield, Arjuna. You're going to stand up and fight. And that's what he's telling his dearest friend Arjuna, that you have to do your duty, you have to fight. And here you find in Krishna's Leela that Krishna himself was leaving the battlefield and going away. But the beautiful thing about Krishna is, like, Krishna is called as the supreme Bhagwan because and unlimited beauty, unlimited fame, unlimited everything, strength, and again, unlimited renunciation. That is so detached from everything that anything that Krishna does is on the platform of complete, it's totally spiritual, that he could do anything. So we cannot classify Krishna on the level of what we really look at on the spiritual activities. So this is the height of renunciation, that he can just leave everything like that and go on to something else. So I was just thinking, like, again, that's another beautiful chapter we're going to touch next week. I just want to leave for any comments, Ramnath Prabhuji, Vrindavan Prabhuji, please.
No, it's very good, beautiful. Krishna Katha. I'm not comment saying anything. Whatever I can comment, nothing. But Ramnath Prabhu is something, he knows. Senior devotees.
Hare Krishna Prabhuji. Ramnath Prabhuji, anything?
Well, it's late, but yeah, thank you very much, of course, for the whole discussion and going over this whole chapter of how Muchukunda got the mercy of Krishna. The last part there, it was interesting how Prabhupada was saying that for a devotee who's actually got the mercy, they're engaged in preaching work, and that actually is the focus of Chaitanya Vaishnavism. Prabhupada says that they preach the Vaishnava philosophy. I would simply add a kind of like a caveat, the Gaudiya Vaishnava philosophy. Because yes, there are other Vaishnava sampradayas. Our focus, though, is Chaitanya and the Goswamis, and there are subtle distinctions between the other Vaishnava lineages. But someone who really has the mercy gets to preach and glorify Srila Prabhupada and all the Goswamis, the whole, all the Vaishnava acharyas in our lineage. And that is the real mercy for us, is to stick to Chaitanya Vaishnavism, stick to ISKCON, stick to our focus, and then the mercy flows. We get the mercy of Prabhupada. We feel Prabhupada's mercy and presence. We feel the mercy and presence of the acharyas, and we know that Lord Chaitanya is bestowing his mercy on us. So the Chaitanya Vaishnava tradition specifically is that, yes, we actually get the mercy of Radharani by preaching, not by going away and performing solitary bhajan, although that may be there, but the real mercy comes in preaching work.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. As I was just listening to Chaitanya Charan Prabhu, he was saying, like, if you see Radharani, maybe not mentioned in Bhagavad Gita, but actually, if you really look at it, Krishna talks about all the different types of yoga, but the highest yoga is Bhakti Yoga, that is devotional service. And who can be an embodiment of devotional service more than Radharani? So if you look at it from that angle, she's in the center of Bhagavad Gita, like, right? Everything is it's all about devotional service. And Mahatmanastu Mam Partha Daivam Prakritam Asita, that great souls are under the protection of the divine energy, and that is Radharani. So in a way, we can see that she's always, again, you there. Also
No,
you were saying,
Radharani is always there, even on the battlefield.
yes, yes, it is so beautiful that we can never take away Radharani, because anything that we talk about love for Krishna or anything about devotion, it's is a personification of the of a devotional love. And with your mercy, Prabhuji, like I really need your mercy and your blessings, because every Saturday we do this service. And last time I was taking a Bhagavad Gita, I was taking a Krishna book and Bhagavatam and just showing to everybody literally the books and just telling them like what's the difference, because many people do not know what's the difference again between Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita also. So just
Oh,
giving an
really?
introduction. Yes, I mean, yeah, we do have many people who are not much aware about that. So just kind of, because one of the Mataji gave me the Bhagavatam and she said, there's Bhadra Purnima this week. Can you please go and tell everyone? She just put me on the spot. She said, like, can you just tell the people like about Bhadra Purnima and the importance of it? So I was just like on the spot. I had to just bring both the books and just show them and tell them this is Bhagavad Gita, this is Bhagavatam, this is what we get by, and the beautiful tales and love of Krishna we can have by reading this Bhagavatam. So these small things which we have to be very much more articulate and kind of literally bring them to life by showing the books and give them the taste of having a look at the books and things like that. So Yeah, with your mercy, Prabhuji, with your blessings, that we kind of like do more of this thing to inspire people to just take to Krishna consciousness, and if they can make them, if we can make them curious, and if they can make them, inspire them to just come forward and just say, okay, can go and buy a book, and we go and read this book. Where do I get this?
I
And
mean,
if
for me, I mean, you're already doing that. You're doing, an incredible service. But for me, a lot of the work is trying to help make the distinction between Hinduism and just following cultural traditions, rituals of Hinduism, and actual Krishna consciousness. Because a lot of people don't know what it is. They don't understand. They're doing it because they're supposed to do it. They go to the Arctic because they're supposed to go to the Arctic, but they don't understand much about it. And therefore their Krishna consciousness, remains basically on a Kanishta level, and that's good. We need Kanishtas, but the idea is always to how to bring people to higher and higher and more purified levels of Krishna consciousness for their own benefit and for the benefit of the Hare Krishna movement.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Definitely. I mean, yeah, whatever way we can to educate, because a lot of people, when they come with so many cobwebs in their mind. They come with so many questions in their mind. Some people, they get stuck up saying, "Oh, Krishna has been enjoying here and then," because they don't even understand the
So many
real view.
questions.
So
Sometimes
many
they're
questions.
afraid to ask questions too. You have to make them feel
Yeah.
comfortable to ask questions.
Yes, absolutely, Prabhuji. And because once we clear those questions, and once those cobwebs are gone, you can find them immediately changing their whole attitude towards Krishna consciousness, and it's so important actually that we have to.
Our focus is always going to be on Prabhupada's books because everything is there in Prabhupada's books. We ourselves have to have that conviction that if people actually read Prabhupada's books, their lives will change. Problem is, people get the books, but they have a hard time reading them, or their life is complex. And yes, it's understandable in one sense, but they have to understand the more they actually absorb Krishna consciousness directly from Prabhupada, the better off they'll be.
Definitely, Prabhuji. It definitely takes time, Prabhuji. It's a journey. If we
Yeah.
even analyze ourselves, you see, 1 year we are doing this. I never, spent time, Radha Ashtami, this time fasting for Radha Ashtami. And I felt myself that life is a journey. In 1 year, you get to know about
Yeah.
Krishna. The next year, you can get to know about Goswamis, and next year you don't get elevated overnight. You can't
Even in
say,
this pastime of Muchakunda, Krishna tell him, yeah, you have to, atone for your offenses for, killing animals as a kshatriya and you be born into a better family. So for many people, that's actually going to be their destination. But let them get born into a better family in the Hare Krishna movement. That's good too.
absolutely, Prabhuji. So we can make out from that, like, we find pure devotees, they must have been so blessed by Krishna that in this life they're taking to Krishna
Yeah.
preaching. So, yeah.
So gradually, the Hare Krishna movement is growing and expanding. In some estimations, it's growing and expanding too slowly, but it is growing and expanding.
Absolutely, Prabhuji. Thank you so
Anyway,
much,
it's getting
Prabhuji.
late. Anyone else
Yes,
want to say something?
yes. Anyone else wants to say? Sanjay Ji, Ashwin Prabhu, Vimal Prabhu, Ajay Prabhu?
Hare
Anyone
Krishna.
would like
Thank you for the special round of Nama Sankirtana initially for
Hare
Ganesh
Krishna.
Prabhu's mother.
Yeah,
Yes.
thank you, Prabhu. We're all Krishna's family and we support each other and we pray for each other. Yeah, definitely.
Okay. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. If no comments from anyone, we want to just thank everyone for giving us your precious time. I know it's on a weekday and I know how many things we juggle and we still find time to join. So, yeah, thank you so much for giving us your precious time. I just wanted to mention that maybe next week I could be traveling. I will just mention in the thing. So if I'm traveling, then maybe I will not be able to. It's only for next week. Then after that we will continue. But I will just confirm that shortly on
Next
the
week?
group. Yeah, in case if I could be traveling, Prabhuji. But if I'm traveling, I'll let you know. But otherwise, I will put it on the group. Yeah.
Okay. How long? Not
Only for
Thursday.
one. No, no, no. Only on Thursday. Again, the following week I would be there. But I'll just confirm. I'm not sure. I'll let you.
Oh,
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you,
Okay,
everyone.
thank you.
Let's all
Hari
please
Bol.
unmute and let's say Hari Bol to Prabhu.
Yes, agreed.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol.
Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol. Hari Bol.
Hari Bol. Hari
Hari
Bol.
Bol. I am
Thank you,
passionate.
everyone.
Hare
I
Krishna.
four times say Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol.
Vantikalpatarubhyasya kriya.
Patitranam
Patitanam pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo
Vaishnava
namaha.
Jai Vaishnav
Hare
Thakur ki
Krishna.
jai.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.